What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ryan McCluskey, which can only mean one thing. It is time for your weekly dose of college knowledge. Yes, it is the college football podcast. Time to mock draft, and yes, as the show's title implies, we are just 43 days away from the NFL draft now. The combine is in the rearview mirror. We're right in the midst of pro day circuit now, and we're getting to the point of the year where we know what teams are sort of starting to want in the draft after free agency. We're getting there, it's all coming together, and for the first time this year, because we didn't do any during the season, and I only just realised this the other day that we've not actually done one up to yet. We're going to put out our first mock drafts this year. But first, Rye, 43 days. We're getting really close now. These pro days, this is the last stop. And then on to Green Bay. Find out who the next generation of Detroit Lions players are for 2025.
Yep. It just feels like it just takes an age. That period after the combine until the draft. Unless you've got loads of cap space or you have like your roster is an absolute mess. You go into a lull. The Lions right now, we ain't doing anything. We ain't got the money to do anything. We ain't going to make splashes. We're just looking at signing players that are rotational pieces, fill through the draft, and negotiating some big extensions. So, yeah, it's going to be quiet for the next 40 days for Lions. We ain't making these outlandish moves that I know everyone wants. Like, they're just not realistic. But yeah, this I don't know, this mock draft for me, it wasn't that hard because we're at a space now for me where the roster, I know what the needs are.
Yeah.
It's not based off 1 year, that's based off the last 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got my little clique of players this year as well. Quite usefully, they sort of, there's some for every part of the draft. So most of these picks, I was able to shoehorn in one of my guys with a realistic expectation of where they were going to be. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be revealing our first mock drafts for the year. We've got a tiny bit of news to go through as well, and then after that, we're just going to kind of do questions. If you got any college questions, any draft questions, anything like that, just whack them in the comments and let us know, and we'll do those, and then we'll get them out of here. So yeah, let's just get all the housekeeping out of the way first. Roar Lions UK Discord, if you want in on that, let us know. We'll fire you across the link for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all the stuff, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff. We really appreciate all your support that way. The main podcast, we did Free Agency Frenzy on Monday, so we were live. We ended up in 5 hours during Free Agency Frenzy in 2 parts, reacting to the deals as they happened. Obviously the Lions got the one on the day with DJ Reed and that, but it's good for, if you want to check it out, then do so. But the main show format, rather than it being that way, will be back next week on the Monday. Don't forget about Lions Nation Unite as well. We're part of Herman Moore's project to bring together a whole host of Lions content creators into one forum to talk anything and everything Detroit Lions with you, the fans. And don't forget, we're monetized, we've got a tip jar, we've got all that sort of stuff. So if you want to help us that way, great. But first and foremost, we just love having you all in the building, and that is that. Got a little teeny tiny bit of news to go through, obviously in the land of college football right now, because it's draft season, spring training, all that's going on at the minute. We're starting to get the fallout, so we will do a show in upcoming weeks about the fallout of spring training, what's been going on, what storylines are approaching. But we're just kind of waiting for it all to play out first before we do that. But we've had one head coaching hire this week, right? Obviously, we had a late dropout in terms of a hiring a couple of weeks ago. So Bowling Green lost their head coach, Scott Loeffler. He went to be the quarterbacks coach with the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL, and they made their appointment this week. Bowling Green did, to replace him, and this is a very intriguing hire they've made. Eddie George, he is the legendary Ohio State running back from years past. He has been coaching Tennessee State for the last 4 years. He is taking over a Bowling Green team that only went 27-41 under Loeffler, although they've been bowling the last 3 years, and they were in the mix to win the MAC last year, but they were unfortunately not able to do that. But in terms of Eddie George's time at Tennessee State, he's turned that team from one that really needed rebuilding up to his last year. Last year he went 9-4. They got a share of the Big South Ohio Valley Conference Championship, and if you listen to our shows when we were doing the FCS playoff reviews, they even made it to the FCS playoffs for it was the first time in a very long time, if it wasn't their first already. But obviously he's known in the Ohio area. Bowling Green is obviously in Ohio. He's a big legend around this point. He's already been firing shots at the likes of Toledo and that, who are their rivals in the MAC, although he says he doesn't see them as rivals, which were the Shots. But a very intriguing hire by Bowling Green here, Eddie George. He's turned around HBCU program, got them to the FCS playoffs, been successful. It's taken time, and for Bowling Green, this is a team that's got one of the lowest returning percentages of its production in the country. The MAC as a general has been absolutely destroyed, but if you want a new job now at the FBS level to build a team from the ground up and to go win championships, it's the perfect space for him to do so.
Yeah. I suppose when push comes to shove, when you don't often get teams in late March losing their head coach, it's very late, like I say, coming up to that spring camp, that spring portal, to be having a departure. That's something really hard to overcome because, well, there's just not many available guys out there. You're going to have to convince someone to leave what is a stable post. But yeah, if we're talking coaches or former players that have turned into coaches, you're getting a guy here of actual experience. You're not going with like a first time like Deshaun Jackson. You're going with a guy that has taken a fledgling program and has managed to build it up from the ground and then managed to mix it with the big boys. Like I say, he's fairly young. He's got a lot of experience playing. He's done a lot of good work over recent years, and it's a reward for that. I think this is a great hire. As you say, Bowling Green have got better in recent years, but overall Scott's head coach, the record was poor. It kind of masks over how bad most of the tenure of has been, despite being competitive with a veteran quarterback. But yeah, Eddie has got a serious job on his hands because the best players that they've had for years have all gone. And like I say, it's a roster that's depleted, not returning a lot. He's got to find a way to plug those holes. Minimal expectation on this year, I suppose none really at all. I suppose it's finding his feet, trying to get some players, and to convince some guys to come with him. Like I say, he's going to have to do a job where he's going to have to get some FCS guys to come and help fill out the roster for a year or two. So yeah, long-term project, but I think they know that, and they've got a guy that, he's got experience, and I like the fit. I think it's a good opportunity for both sides. One that wants to try keep up the momentum and closing the gap to the top of the MAC, and the other one that has done a lot of good work with a small program that wants his shot at a bigger one.
Yeah, I'd say he's very well known in the Ohio area, so recruiting, that should be good for them as well. So let's see how Eddie George does at Bowling Green. We'll see him in his inaugural year this year. Maybe see some of those Tennessee State players come in the transfer portal to him as well, because once he's left, their portal opens again for 28 days, so we may see some of them come along. Right, that's, as I say, kind of really it for news. It's a lot of spring training stuff on at the minute. As I say, we will address that at a later date. Shout out to Bob O'Lan and Brent DeWitt, who are in the building. Hope you are well, guys. Like I say, if you have any questions throughout the evening, just let us know and we'll get to them, because we're really just mock drafting this evening and then we're going by that, so could end up in one of our shorter shows. Right, let's get on with it. Let's get to our mock draft. So the comp picks all came out yesterday, which was annoying because I did this thing where I put up the players that the Lions last picked at the position they were picking and forgot they'd not done the comp pick thing, and then they all changed yesterday. So everything is confirmed, everything's in place, excepting trades or anything happening beforehand. Lions have 7 picks in this upcoming draft. They're going to be picking number 28 in round 1. They're going to be picking at number 60 in round 2. They're going to be picking at number 102 in round 3 with the comp pick. They're going to be picking at number 130 in round 4. Then they're going to be picking at 196 in round 6. And then there's 2 round 7 picks at 228 and 244. Now, before we do our mock drafts per se, like I say, I've never done this on the actual pod before. I always post this on Twitter, but I like to do a thing where we go back through history and we revisit the picks the Detroit Lions made at the last picks of all the picks we're making this year. Who did we last pick at that number in the draft? And I'm just going to go through these guys in here, and I'm glad guys like Brett are in the building. You know, for some of the older ones, maybe might realise this a little bit more than us. So let's just go through them. So last time Lions picked at number 28 in an NFL draft was in 2015 when we took the guard Laken Tomlinson out of Duke, and he went and did nothing for us and then did a lot of good for San Francisco and is it New York, the Jets he's with? He performed a lot better for those teams than he did for us, but yeah, Laken Tomlinson was the last pick at number 28. At number 60, the last pick, you have to go back to 1998. It was the quarterback Charlie Batch out of Eastern Michigan. Didn't end up playing that much for Lions, but yeah, he was the last pick at number 60. At number pick 102, we're going back to 1949. The tackle Ernie Settembre from the Miami of Florida Hurricanes, or they may have been a different name by then, but it's been a long time since the Lions have picked at number 102. At number 130, a little more recent history. So the last time we picked at number 130, it was in 1997. Is the linebacker Matt Russell out of Colorado. At number 196, last time we picked there was in 2012. We picked the defensive back Jonte Green out of New Mexico State. Seem to remember he got kicked off the team pretty quickly for something, but I can't remember what it was. It was a little while ago now, but yeah, Jonte Green was the last pick at 196. The last pick at 228 was the offensive tackle Lyden Murtha from Nebraska in 2009, and I cannot remember him at all, so that maybe goes some way to saying where that was. And then at pick 249, we got to go back to 1964, so it was the tackle Willis Langley from LSU. So, yeah, this is the fun thing to go back. A lot of old picks here. A lot of these picks the Lions have not had for some time, but certainly Laken brings back some bad memories, right? He definitely did not live up to pick 28.
Nope, terrible pick. I hated it at the time, and it's just frustrating that he's gone on to have, like I say, I think he's been on 3 or 4 teams since, and he's had success elsewhere, and we just couldn't get anything from out of it, and we gave up on him so quickly. Like that was just it was an absolute bust. But he's still in the league now. I mean, yeah, he's probably mediocre at best now, but yeah, that's another just regrettable waste of a first round pick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, those are all the last picks that were made at those specific positions that the Lions will be picking this year. I always find that fun. You always come across some names in there, which is good. Right, let's dive down into ours. So, pick 28 we've got in the first round. That's going to be the first here. Now, I don't know whether you've been traded around or not. I'm just doing it by... I'm not doing this with the intention of trades or anything. Like, I'm just doing this at the position. So, have you stuck to the numbers?
I've got 2 trades.
Oh, you've got to the trades. So, have you got a pick before 28 or not?
No.
Are you stick
I've traded 28 away.
Oh, you've traded 28 away. Right. So, I mean, I guess that means I'm going to have to start this one out. So, I've stayed at all the regular picks here. So, pick 28. I've been very. This is the one that I'm still not sure about entirely. All I know is it's going to be a defensive line player. I incredibly very much like Walter Nolan at this spot. I love Donovan Iziruaku at this spot as well, but I've gone for the guy who's probably the Lions are going to like because he's going to fit what we do here. And I've taken Nick Scowerton. I am a very big Nick Scowerton fan. The 6'4", 285-pound edge rusher out of Texas A&M. Had himself 2 years at Purdue where he blossomed into a star, and then he's had his 1 year at TAMU. Now his stats went down that year, but as he's been very vocal about the scheme is a lot tougher at Texas A&M. The amount of work you have to do is a lot tougher there, and you've got to learn the run game especially. This is a guy at 285. I think he's slimmed down a little bit, but the Lions want a big end. They want someone who's heavy, who can deal with the run, but I want someone who can get to the quarterback as well. I don't want no more Pascals or Davenports who can't do that. He's got the right blend of pass rush ability with the right blend of the run defense, and I think he's going to fit perfectly opposite Hutch, and I've been a big fan of his for years. So with 14 sacks in college, 88 QB pressures, 4 battered passes, he can get up to the line of scrimmage into passing lanes, knock those suckers out the air. Missed tackle rate's only 17% over the career. 3 forced fumbles. Even got a PBU in there as well. They dropped him into coverage a tiny little bit, but he's got the size, he's got the frame, he fits the need of what we need opposite Hutch, and he'd probably be starting day one, hopefully, if he has a good enough camp. He's got the incredible spin move on him like Hutch does, but he's got plenty of counters, he's got plenty of other pass rush moves on him. I'm just going to let him go home and get to the quarterback. So you've got bona fide threats from each side, so I am going for the edge position right away. Nick Scourton is my pick at 28, and I would be incredibly happy because I think he will be in that area as well. Some people will drop him a little bit because of this year, and that's our gain. So yeah, I've got Nick at 28. Where are you picking first then, Ryan?
So I've got New Orleans takes 28, gets Jackson Dart. I take 40, 71, and a 2020 Rat 6 pick. I tried to use an actual calculator, and they obviously don't put in words like, oh, that's great. They give you loads of numbers, but I'm pretty sure 1471 said I just won. So at 40, I take Landon Jackson. So I get the lanky pass rusher from Arkansas that's back together, 6.5 sack seasons each, 6'6", 255 pounds, had an incredible combine, showed his balance, his bend, his speed, his athleticism. He's very comfortable with his hand in the dirt in, like, say, the 5 technique, or I can push him out wide and stand him up as an edge rusher. He's got versatility in a 4 and a 3-man front. He can kick inside. He's comfortable playing against the run despite being slender. He has got muscular despite looking quite thin. He is strong, and he's got a nice move. He's got good Arsenal pass rush moves at the next level. So his build, his motor, and his overall, I like his positive attitude. Like you say, he's a guy that's played a lot of downs, a lot of football. He's very comfortable in multiple positions. So I feel like he'll grow into a guy that you can have opposite Hutchinson for multiple downs a game. But I don't want them both on the field anymore all the time. So it'd be maybe you put in Landon for Hutch at certain times, maybe don't have them on the same side. So I think it's going to be it's to take some pressure off Aiden ultimately.
All right, lovely. Mile Marker's in the building. Hope you're doing well, Mile Marker. Brent goes, until recent years, our scout have been rubbish. Thanks for the unpleasant trip down memory lane, Anthony. Hey, appreciate it, Brent. You've got to look back to see how bad we were to appreciate what we have now. Right, so we've both got edge rusher to start off with. Now we're going to head back further into round 2 to number 60. So obviously you've kept 60, so we'll come straight back to you. Who are you going to take at 60 to complement with Landon Jackson?
So at 60, I take Trey Harris. When I look at our offense, what is it right now we don't have? We don't have a physical outside receiver that has the ability to catch balls without separation. We need someone to make the 50-50s, the strong catches, the good hands with the rotary and then the explosion. We need a bit of muscle. Like I said, Tim Patrick, it doesn't look like at this rate, unless they're going to wait until the end of free agency, bring him back, and we're not making any big additions. So Trey's on the outside looking in a first round to second round. I'm going to bring him in. He'll find work straight away as a rotational piece in his rookie year, and then hopefully kicks on to have a big field. So I feel like he offers something that we don't have right now, and we need a bit of juice, especially on the outside, because we're going to be another pass heavy offense under John Morton. So I'm bringing in more reinforcements on the outside. At 6'2", 215, good physical competitive build.
Alright, so we've gone for the edge and then the wide receiver. I've taken the edge first, and then at 60 I'm going to switch to the opposite side of the line, and I'm ready to take a draft pick high on the offensive line. And at 60, if he's there, and he very much is in that category depending on where you read on the big boards at the minute, I'm going to take Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia. I've loved this kid for years. I've watched this West Virginia team for a long time now. He's 6'6", he's 317 pounds, and for me, I still think he's the best left tackle in this draft, who's just not getting talked about because people don't think he's going to be able to stick there at the next level, which I think is just absolutely stupid. But he is one of the strongest, most athletic tackles in this draft. As a pass protector, he's one of the most elite there is. He's not given up a sack on his quarterback since 2021. That is 3 full seasons he's not allowed a sack on his quarterback. He's only allowed 1 quarterback hit in the last 3 years. The dude is an absolute monster, and it's due to this frame he has. So as I say, you've got the 6'6", 317 pound frame, you've got the height, but you've got the athleticism. The way he deals with speed rushers is just incredible because he can move quick, he gets his arms on them quick, they cannot turn the corner against him, he'll just get his hands on them, they're done for. As a run blocker, he's also really good. That's gotten better year on year, and he's had by far his best year as a run blocker this year. He graded at 90, but again, he's learning to use that frame. He's had problems in the past where tackles have been able to get under him a little bit, and they've been able to sort of, nullify his forward progression when he's doing the whole run blocking stuff. He's worked that out now. I've got a new O-line coach out there, or they did, and this year the technique's a lot better. The strength is just superior. Once he's got the leverage battle on you, he's taking you back 10, 15 yards. There's nothing you can do about it. And again, very athletic. If he needs to get to the second level, get to some of these niftier, quicker linebackers, DBs, he can. And he can deal with them with ease again with this size. And I just don't know why he's dropping so far down draft boards. But he's played left tackle for 3 of his 4 years. He's played right tackle as well. So he's going to be your swing tackle instantly. You can push him into guard a little bit. Maybe that's what I do in his year 1. Stick Mahogany to right guard, because Mahogany plays both. Put Wyatt Milam in on the left. Train him to be Taylor Decker's long-term successor when that deal runs out. But you've got an instant impact player this year who is exactly what the Lions covet, and it's about time we put a high draft pick into this offensive line to give it some really good depth. So yeah, if I get Wyatt Milam at 60, I am the happiest of birdies. So yeah, I've gone edge first, I've taken the tackle next. Right, let's flip it over to you, because you've got 71 now, I believe. You've picked an extra pickup, so who have you got?
I have, and I'm thinking along the same lines as you. At 71, I'm taking Charles Grant, the FCS stud offensive tackle from the William and Mary tribe. 6'5", 300 pounds, 44 starts, 36 of them consecutive at one time, just 2 sacks allowed in his career, and only 30 pressures allowed. He has been dominant for years. He is a trench man. He's got a great build, he's got long arms, he's got nice hands. He absolutely dominates in the run game. He is a mauler, he is athletic, he's got short area quickness to get to the next level. He loves to finish blocks. This guy likes to drive forward, complete until the play's dead or the whistle is stopped. He doesn't need to start straight away. You can rep him in maybe in at guard, but if you're looking for a future plan at tackle either position, we are like to see someone compete with Manu as a potential left tackle of the future. Or if he does suit to being a guard because he's not too tall, he could be a guy that rotates in the rookie year and starts straight away. But it's someone that I'd like to think we can amalgamate into our offensive line fairly quickly with a pick of a long-term starter. The question of competition, it rises and it comes in and people think it's relevant, but for me, I've seen him past that. That's not bothered offensive line products in recent years. The guy can play, he's very clever, and it doesn't faze him going up against guys at the next level. So that 3rd round sweet spot, like I said, for a guy that he can roll in this year and then future, hopefully, by the time Decker is phased out or wants to call it a day, Charles is ready to go.
I like it. We're very much on the same wavelength here, so we'll move it out to 102 now, our comp pick. I'll go first, and I'm in the same area as you. We need a wide receiver. We need an outside wide receiver, and there's one I've set my heart on from day one. And at 102, I take Ricky White, the wide receiver out of UNLV. Why? Simply because he's one of the best blocking wide receivers in this draft, period. But he's also a wonderful receiver on the outside. So he may not have the biggest frame in the world. He's 6'1", 190, but the scheme he's played with Brennan Marion, the go-go at UNLV, he's tough. They've got to block for days. Sometimes he has to block for literal entire games without getting receptions thrown his way. He's a tough cookie, but it's the feet. The hands are elite, and the after-catch ability, his ability to force missed tackles, is second to none. And he's a guy he's a big-time playmaker on the outside. 3,364 yards and 24 touchdowns in college. He started off his first year at Michigan State, then he made the move out to UNLV. He arrived at a program that was literally in the dirt and had done nothing for years. He leaves as a multi-time team captain, who's one of the most versatile offensive weapons in this draft, and it's just the size that'll keep him down a little bit, but he's exactly what the Lions look for, as I say. Team captain, multiple positions, elite special teamer, 4 blocked punts this year from him alone. That's just him. No team in college football last year had 4 blocked punts. He had 4 on his own. He returned one of them for a touchdown as well. He's got a safety on the year as well. Like, he's a special teams monster. He's a guy who you're going to be able to, if you keep Tim Patrick on the roster, which we're expecting to happen, 1 year behind him, let him do his dirty work on the special teams, let him acclimatise to the NFL, and then just let him go absolutely crazy next year. I've done the video work on him. I'm going to upload the video work to YouTube soon. I'm going to leave it up for a few days and then take it down before it gets struck. But I want you to see what it's all about. He is a tremendous receiver, and the Lions need to go out and get him. So at 102 there, I've got Ricky White. So I've got an edge, offensive line, wide receiver. Rye, who have you gone at 102?
102, I'm going interior defensive line. Aleem's going to miss maybe half a season. Like I said, there's still questions about bringing back certain guys like Pico, Levi. So I'm picking up TJ Sanders, the interior pass rusher from South Carolina Gamecocks. He will just be 21 years old, I think, when he has his name called. And for a guy that's played 4 years in the SEC, he's incredibly young. Despite playing like 35, 40 games appearances, I say he's got a lot of snaps under his belt for a young man. 6'4", 295 pounds. He's got 8.5 sacks in the last 2 years, but the best part, nearly 100 tackles. He has become somewhat of a every down kind of player. He is so aggressive. He's physical. He's pretty nasty in the trenches. He uses his hands incredibly well. His first step, he uses a powerful punch or pop, like say drive straight away. He's got a bull rush up the middle. They say he's very good. He's good in twists and sticks. He comes down and crashes in with immense force that has got the ability to stagger people. So he's got brute strength that you need to win up the middle. And then in pursuit, he's very comfortable at chasing down a guy. He did some drills combine, like say he looked pretty good. The size, the athleticism's there, but the handwork is what is really important. He's got a good upper strength body, and he brings something to our interior right now that we are lacking. We are lacking bodies right now, and we're lacking guys, like I say, because they drop like flies in Detroit for some reason. We just recycle these guys, so we really need to keep the conveyor belt going. So I'm going to invest a serious draft pick on the interior outline this year.
Alright, lovely. So that's at 102. Then we move to 130 in round 4, so I'll come straight back to you. Where are you going at 130? So
I'm going safety. Like I say, Melifonwu's gone. Branch will be moving back with thing. I'm taking Lathan Ransom. So at 130, the Ohio State product. This guy, he just lives in the box. He's so comfortable in the tackle box. He's a thumper. He's got a nose for the ball, whether that's his fist or his helmet. He's always in and around the tackle area. He's crashing down hard. He's physical. He's strong. He's always looking for those kind of force fumbles to rip the ball out. Good size, a good nose. And for a team that says it might play three less safety packages, if they find the right guy, I don't believe that at all. I think he can fit the Melifonwu role perfectly. He can come down, be a blitzer, but he can also then let the two guys play high coverage and do, like say, he can marshal the open field and then come down and play in the run game and give the support to the linebackers he needs. That was his bread and butter as a Buckeye, and I think he can do that here.
Yeah, absolutely. So at 130, I'm actually going to move into the secondary as well, but I'm going to go for the corner department, because you can never have too many corners on your team, and especially in the midst of the DJ Reed signing, I want to put him here because I think he's going to absolutely love him as a mentor. But I'm going to put Noel Williams into this defence, the Cal corner, who has had an absolutely magnificent year. Obviously the 7 interceptions and the 9 pass breakups for him, one of the best coverage corners in the country. But this guy, vastly experienced. 5 years he spent in college football, 3 at UNLV where he broke out, then he got his big move to Cal. He's had 2 years there at Cal, 3,300 snaps for him in total, 8 quarterback pressures, does a little bit of blitzing, no sacks, but 5 quarterback hits in that. Over 200 tackles, just a low 14% missed tackle rate as well. It was just 5.7% this year. It's something that really came together in his game. 3 forced fumbles for him, 56% career given up rate against him in terms of his completions. It's 131 of 231, but 14 interceptions, 21 pass breakups for him, and he's quite a versatile corner. He plays mostly on the outside, but he has done quite a fair bit of box work as well over the last couple of years. He's done a little bit of slot work when he needs to, but that 6'1", 200-pound frame for him, he uses aggressively. He's highly competitive, he's physical, he won't back down to anybody. It doesn't matter if you're 6'4", 6'5", 230-pound receiver on the outside, he is going to give you hell. And why is he so good? It's the stuff he does up at the line of scrimmage, his ability to jam wide receivers. The timing is absolutely immaculate. He just seems to know how to get in a grill of a receiver and stop him getting off the line of scrimmage, and he does that with how physical he is. But if they're able to get going, for him, the athletic ability of him, his man coverage is tremendous. You know, we need guys who are good in man. That's what we like to do. That's where he is, and he's sticky as well. He doesn't give up much, he doesn't give up a lot of oh god, jeez, what am I trying to say here? He doesn't let them get far from him. He's very sticky in his coverage, and that's why he gets so many pass breakups, because wide receivers just can't break free of him. And when receivers are on timing routes, when they're in breaks, stuff like that, and the quarterbacks throw in early to try and get into position for them, he just jumps the route because it just doesn't allow them to separate. That's the word I was looking for, Lord me. And I think behind DJ Reed, he's going to be perfect. Obviously, Rakestraw's going to work at the slot, Terrion's going to work on the outside, Amik's going to work inside as well. DJ Reed's going to work on the outside. I'd like Noel Williams to be the third guy there. I think he fits our system perfectly. He's the exact type of guy we're looking for. He's got the body of work over his collegiate career. He's really experienced, and you can't have enough good corners in this league. We can push some of our not so good corners a little bit further down the depth chart with him. I think the value you get at 130 is fantastic. So yeah, I'd take Noel Williams, the cornerback out of Cal, at 130. Then we have a little bit of a jump, 66 spots, unless you trade again at this point, Rye. Is your next pick at 196?
No, I've moved them to move up.
Okay, so let people know what you've done and where you're at.
So we're getting into throwaway pick territory, so I'm packaging them up. So I'm sending 196 and 228 to Buffalo, and I'm moving up to 177. So with that pick, I am taking Cody Lindenberg, Will linebacker, University of Minnesota, 6'3", 240. So the Lions have locked up their Sam, Derek Barnes for a couple of years, but Alexander Loney right now is playing on the final year of the contract. Money's going to be tight. It remains to be seen whether or not it's going to be extended, so I'm getting a guy in that is fantastic in coverage. He has got a very clean back pedal. He's great in man coverage because he's got long, powerful arms. He's got good athleticism to jumping into routes and pass deflections. He's great against linebackers. I mean, he's great against tight ends and running backs that come out of the backfield, marshalling that open field. He's also a great communicator. He diagnoses very quickly, relates information to the sideline, to his coaches and other players very quickly. He's highly respected. He seems very highly intelligent. He's been very productive as one of the leaders for the Golden Gophers defense for the last 3 years. Plenty of tackles. He chips in with forced fumbles, a few sacks, the odd interception. He's a do-it-all kind of guy. He explodes downhill in a straight line very quickly. He can get through holes before someone's able to plug them and meet the running back head on. So he's got a big frame, he's well built, he's very physical in around that box, but he's also very comfortable moving backwards. Just needs to work on his lateral movement side to side, where guys can shake him, where those faster guys, but that will come with it. Right, so you're picking him here right now to let him train with Alex and train with Jack for this time, maybe in a year or two, where he slots in as a rotational guy on certain downs. But yeah, it seems like a good value pick here. You can never have too many linebackers.
Absolutely, love it, and the aggressiveness to get him, love that as well. Lisa's in the building, hope you are doing well, Lisa, good to see you as always. So that means you're not picking again till 2:44, so I've got 2 picks here in a row now. So at 196, this is where I don't know whether we're going to get him or not, but he's still consensusly down on this part of the board. I'm going to double dip at the edge position, and I'm going to take one of the guys I love most in this draft per se, just full stop. Tyler Batty, the edge out of BYU. He should go a lot higher than this. He might go a lot higher than this, but consensually right now, he's still down in this part of the draft. He's the 6'5", 275-pound edge out of BYU. He's been there for the last 5 years. Another multi-time team captain, which is something that the Lions do covet, but this is a guy, and I've talked about him on previous shows on the College Pod as well, so I'll not batter on for too long. But you know, this is a guy who nearly lost his life in his freshman year in a motor accident. Was told he wouldn't play again, and has just forced his way back onto this BYU team. And from his sophomore year through to the end of his career, he's been an absolute standout player for them. 19 sacks, 35 quarterback hits, 89 quarterback hurries, nearly 200 tackles, just a 14% missed tackle rate, 117 run stops, couple of forced fumbles for him. He's even got 2 interceptions as well. Both of those were this year, so he's been doing a little bit of coverage work this year. And the reason people are down on him is that the career production is not, 19 sacks over 5 years is not the most in the world, but this has been a poor BYU team he's been on, and he himself as a player has been taking on a lot of different responsibilities on this team. We talk about Scowerton at Tamu having to take on different responsibilities this year, which has affected just his overall rushing the quarterback, but it's making him a more complete player. And for Tyler Batty, he's a hell of a good run defender. Like, this BYU team, they love to run the football, so if you're on the defense, that's what you're coming up against in training every single day, and it shows on the field. He's one of the most aggressive run defenders you'll see here. He just throws himself into every challenge with reckless abandon, but that's the way Dan likes his players to play. He does have a good pass rush repertoire in him. I mean, it was just the 2 sacks last year, but there were 11 QB hits, 42 pressures. He's getting to the quarterback. He just needs to turn a little bit of that into final production. But as far as being a leader on the team, as far as having the upside to go out there and be a very solid rotational piece on your defensive line for a long time in this league, he is one of the best value picks you will find on day 3 at the edge position. And I want more than one guy, because we need some depth at the position. We don't just need top tier guys. We've got no young development edge rushers in the system right now, and that's what we need. These are the guys we need going forward. And again, he's a vastly experienced special teamer who'll go and do all that work for you beforehand. But just they did a documentary on him. Go find it, go watch it, and you'll fall in love with him instantly. He loves the game of football. Again, has the attitude that Dan requires. Like, he lives and breathes this stuff. He never thought he was going to be able to play it again after his accident, but he fought his way back simply for the love of the game. He's got the attitude, he's got the attributes, he's got the frame, he's got the upside. This is the kind of guy you run after in day 3 and add to your room. So double dipped at the edge position. Tyler Batty's there at 196, and then at 228, because I'm there now, I go back to the offensive line again. And I know we have quite a few development projects on there, and I said we don't really want any more, but I'm going to make an exception for this guy. He's just impressed me so much during the off season, and it's Jackson Slater. He is the guard out of Sacramento State. He is their left guard. He has been for the last 4 years. He's played a bit of left tackle as well. He's only ever given up 4 sacks in his FCS career. He's not given up a sack since 2022. Only given up 1 quarterback hit since 2022 as well. So this is a guy whose pass protection is absolutely on the money, and you've seen him in the All-Star game that he played in. He was completely dominant, and the run blocking aspect that's taken a little bit of time for him. He's had his best year run blocking this year, but the dude's got power. And he's aggressive, and he's a mauler. And I look at him and I think, that's kind of what Jonah Jackson was like for us. This guy's, again, highly athletic, very good hands, very good technique, very fast at getting to the second level. But if there's a big, mean, nasty DT on the line that you need to shift out the way, he'll be the guy who shifts him out the way for you. He's just got so much upside. Obviously, he's played at the FCS, so it's going to take time for him to develop into the system, but I think this is perfect, and I would be kicking Colby Sorsdal off the team for him and restarting again, because I think it's probably about time that we do, if you're going to. But I think Slater would make our roster again. I think his tenacity, the aggression, how he plays will endear him to our coaching staff, and we need depth on the position. We need to start developing some genuine depth on the offensive line. So I'm going to take 2 swings at it as well in this draft. So I've got Jackson Slater there at 228, and then we got 1 pick left, Roy. We've got 244 right at the end. Who are you picking right at the very end?
So at the end, I'm taking a project cornerback. This is one Isaac Waxter from the Villanova Wildcats. And his SI.com article was written by one Gerald Huggins that I've been reading. So great size, 6'1", 210 pounds, 3 years, 108 tackles, 7 tackles for loss of sacks, 3 interceptions, 20 pass breakups, 3 forced fumbles, and just 4 touchdowns allowed in a career. He's a long-term starter. Like I say, he has been 2-time FCS All-American selection. He's had a multiple of lists, Senior Bowl watch list, East-West Shrine Bowl, a very decorated guy on the outside at the FCS level. The Villanova Wildcats as well in recent years have been good. They've been in and around their conference championship game, been really good in their own conference, and they've been making the playoffs and showing that they're bridging that gap where they are good in basketball. They've stepped up their game in football as well, and this guy's been very good. So he's a high, smart player. Right, so he's got size, he's physical, he's strong, so I'd expect him to be excelling press man coverage. He'll be very physical at line of scrimmage. That size, that strength that he's got to him, so he's going to be aggressive at the point of attack. Great nose for the ball. Like I say, multiple forced fumbles, multiple interceptions in the career. So he's got good hand-eye coordination. He's got a nose for the ball, comes down hard and tackle. He's one of those guys that's looking to get his head or his helmet or something, a hand on the ball and rip out where's possible, or just make the tackle there and then, at least hold the guy up to get support. Like I say, he'll have to work, like I say, get the speed up, get the hand, get everything ready for the next level, the big step up in competition. So he'll be a late guy that right now he's probably got on special teams, but he's got all the physical tools. Like I say, he's got a ton of production to be a big upside pick at the next level, and might just find a way to earn a starting job at some point in the near future.
Yeah, and he had a really good Shrine Bowl as well, I think it was. He looked good against the Power 4 opposition, so I would love Isaac Baxter. And then at 244, for me, and this is the one I'm least sure about with the guy been there. I think he's going to be gone on before, but consensus boards have him as an undrafted free agent. I don't know why. I'm finishing off with linebacker, and I'm going back to UNLV again. We've got Jackson Woodard, the linebacker out of UNLV, and again, another player I've talked about at length on this podcast. 3 years at Arkansas before transferring to UNLV, where he has just exploded in the last 2 years, and his progression has been absolutely astonishing. In his 2 years, 7 sacks, 5 QB hits, 34 quarterback pressures, 4 batted passes, about 250 tackles with just a 12% missed tackle rate, 116 run stops. But this year it's his coverage which has really come shining through. I mean, the guy is 6'3" and 230 pounds. He's well matched against the bigger tight ends and the bigger slot receivers. 4 interceptions and 11 pass breakups this year. He has been absolutely sensational. There was a grab off of Kyle McCord against Syracuse, which was just tremendous. It was this back shoulder throw, which he somehow managed to Superman dive and snag out the air before the wide receiver got it. But I think he completes our linebacker core. Immensely gifted special teamer, but he's the coverage linebacker we are crying out for. We went through this with Diane Henley last year. We need a coverage linebacker. And yeah, we're not going to take one as high as what Henley went this year, but Woodard, for me, he's going to take the Rodrigo route into the team. He will take root and be a day one contributor from us, even though you're getting him at a day 3 pick. He's just so damn versatile. You can bring him up to blitz the passer. Again, with his frame, he can stand up against some of the bigger offensive linemen. He can bull rush past them if need be, or he can win with speed off the edge. They do like to move him around there. He does play in the slot. He's played in the slot the last 2 years as well. So if you want to match him up against some bigger receivers in the slot as well, then he's able to do that. And again, you look at his production through the air, the turnovers, more than capable of it. So this is a guy who, special teams is number one. He'll be a depth linebacker to start with, and you will build him up as one of the better coverage linebackers this team has, and we're absolutely desperate for. And he's a versatile little chess piece that you can move around as well. And I'm just at a loss as to why people see him as a day 3 pick. He should be a day 2 one, but the boards are not budging, so I'm going to take him there. So Jackson Woodard, he is my last pick in this draft. So, Rye, if you just recap your mock draft for everybody and let them know who you're taking.
So at 40, I've got Landon Jackson, edge rusher from the Arkansas Razorbacks. At 60, I've got Trey Harris, wide receiver from Ole Miss. 71, Charles Grant, offensive tackle from William and Mary. At 102, TJ Sanders, defensive tackle from South Carolina. At 130, safety Latham Ransom, Ohio State. And then at 177, Cody Lindenberg, inside linebacker from Minnesota. And at 244, Isis Baxter, cornerback, Villanova Wildcats.
There we go. And then my picks. So at number 28, I've got Nick Scowerton, the edge from Texas A&M. At number 60, we got Wyatt Milam, the offensive tackle from West Virginia. 102, we got Ricky White, the wide receiver from UNLV. At 130, we got Noel Williams, the cornerback out of Cal. At 196, we got Tyler Batty, the edge out of BYU. And at 228, we've got Jackson Slater, the guard out of Sacramento State. And finishing it off with Jackson Woodard, the linebacker out of UNLV at 244. And I'm quite happy with that. I think I would be quite content if we got one of those. Or any players that you want to mention, give an honourable shout out to, who you still want to draft, who you just maybe were not able to for any reason. Is there anyone that you're disappointed you couldn't get in?
I'd like Nick Emanwari, but I'd only take him at 28 if we made a sizable move at edge rusher. I'd then take best player available, and I don't care if it's a safety because he does everything. Like I say, he's one of those where I know for a fact people would absolutely have a meltdown, but inside I would cry tears of joy because I think he'd just be a menace.
Agreed.
But I also got somewhere between 28 and 60. I love someone like Maxwell Hairston or someone probably. I feel like the Lions are more like an Azariah Thomas, like I say, but it's such a big gap between them that they're probably all going to go, and they're just none of them are going to be there at 60.
Yeah, I think 28 again was the hardest. I just have such a big crush on Walter Nolan that I would love getting him there, but we've kind of just gone and got Ray Lopez as well, so feels like a bit bad sticking another DT in there when we really need an edge. Aziruaku I would love there as well. 60, I really did want to put Jaden Higgins in this as well, but I really want to put a lineman in high, an offensive lineman high. That's what misses that.
We don't need one, but I really want a tight end, and I wanted one quite highly, but I just find it hard to justify it.
Yeah.
I kept looking at Mason Taylor, something like that, and I just thought, no, because he's going to be top 100 draft pick.
Yeah.
And the branches need reloading.
Mason Taylor's he's absolutely like lifted up his stock. He's just gone so far off the board now. You'd need an extra pick on day 2, wouldn't you, to be almost a luxury pick to go and get him at this point. I don't think you can. Interesting. I don't think either of us took a tight end 3 in this, but I think you could probably get one in undrafted free agency or something. I mean, we did with Brock Wright, so it can be done. So yeah, those are our mock drafts as we have them.
Well, since recording this, the Lions have re-signed Reynolds, signed a running back, and brought back Levi Onwuzurike.
Oh God, have they? I've not even been looking. So,
but to be fair, that's not changed anything that I've done really.
Okay, let's have a little look at this. So yeah, Craig Reynolds is returning on a 1-year deal to stay in Detroit. I guess he's going to get a deal that maybe they can still cut before the season. But
1 year fully guaranteed for Grant Stewart. He's the special teams linebacker that's one of the best in the league. And he I think the Patriots took him at like Mr. Irrelevant a couple of years ago.
Okay, so linebacker Grant Stewart's come in from the Colts, like say a 1-year fully guaranteed deal. That maybe sticks Jackson Woodard out the window. But I'm hoping that maybe we get him on late day 2 possibly as well.
And Levi back 1 year, 5.5, but
I imagine
half of that is only guaranteed probably.
I love that deal. So Levi Onwuzurike is back as well. 1 year, $5.5 million. That's what I said we should do with him.
Yeah.
Give him.
If you make 2 or 3 up front, he can earn the rest in incentives.
Give him a 1-year deal. Show him if he can stay healthy 2 years in a row and produce like he has. Then give him a deal next year, like 3 years, and lock him in for a good price.
The DT market has been crazy yesterday.
Yeah,
that is a cheap deal.
That feels exceedingly low, but it feels like he also believes in us and the project as well. So yeah, breaking news there. Craig Reynolds is back, Levi Onwuzurike is back, and Grant Stewart is in from the Colts. Yeah, that's a cracking deal for Levi, and I'm so happy for him. Keep your own draft picks around in the building, and as you said, he'll provide crazy value if he goes off next year, because he could. Liam said he might be a £20 million DT. He theoretically could be if he reaches his ceiling. Where were we? Marbarker makes a point which I really like. He goes, he says hi to Lisa first, but he goes, the NFC North's all beefing up their trenches, eh? I mean, you think of free agency, Ryan, what they've been doing. The Green Bay Packers put out the worst contract in free agency this year, signing Aaron Banks to $21 million a year for that middling guard out of the 49ers. The Vikings have gone in and bought 2 highly priced DTs. Bears went and got themselves expensive edge and DTs, and they've got a new center as well. They've got 2 new guards. Brad's traumatized the NFC North on the trenches, hasn't he? Because teams are spending money hand over fist as quick as they can to try and catch up with us.
Yeah, Bears are plugging everything they've got into O-line, and the Vikings have loaded heavily on D-line in the last 48 hours. One can't run the ball, and our defense are getting through the other. They need to stop the run because we've gashed them. So yeah, it's going to be an absolute gauntlet this year, is the NFC North in the trenches. The run game and the defensive fronts are going to be absolutely just teeing off on one another. It's going to be a bloodbath. I can't wait, actually.
And I think there might be a lot of jostling in the draft as well. Like, teams are going to be probably going up for some of this talent as well. It wouldn't surprise me if there was an all-out war between the 4 NFC North GMs trying to, get the best guy and keep loading up that trench warfare. But yeah, Brad for sure has traumatized a lot of them because they're all making stupid deals. Like, Dolman's getting more money than Frank Ragnow. That's crazy to me. Like, Frank Ragnow's the best centre in the NFL, and they've had to overpay for who is a mid-centre. He's decent, that's it. Frank's elite, and he's getting paid less. If anyone has any questions or anything they want to ask, then ask us now, because the mock draft was pretty much all we were doing this evening. If it's college, if it's draft, just get it in there. Where were we? There was one little bit I wanted to go through. So we talked about the best receiving, talk a bit of college ball now, because obviously it is draft season, but we still try to talk a bit of college ball as well. We talked about 10 of the best wide receivers coming back a few weeks ago, and I saw PFF drop their article today talking about the 10 best DTs coming up in next year's, for next year's college season. So I just quickly wanted to go through those and mention them, because these are guys' names to look out for going into next year. Not all of them are draft eligible, some of them are. So coming down in at number 10, you got Grayson Holton out of Oklahoma. He's 6'2", 291 pounds. He's basically going to be the next Kalijah Kancey in that he's a little bit undersized at the position, but he is absolutely rapid. He's coming off an 84.2 pass rush grade season as a sophomore. He's got a 13.6% pressure rate since 2023, which leads every returning defensive tackle in the country, and he's got a 12.5% pass rush win rate, which is the best amongst Power 4 interior defenders coming back. So Grayson Holton ranks right up there atop the best of them. Number 9, you've got Rayshawn Benny from Michigan. So obviously Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, both come into the draft this year, both going to be first round picks, but Rayshawn Benny is the next man up in the system. He graded at 84 in 2024. It was 11th amongst FBS interior tackles, but this is another wonderful run defender. He's 6'4", 296 pounds, and he's just as good as Kenneth Grant when it comes to stopping the run. He's going to be a big name to watch out for next year, I'm sure. Brent will know all about him at this point. Number 8, you've got the Don himself, Dante Corleone out of Cincinnati. Obviously his last year got destroyed by the blood clots in his lungs, which prevented him from starting the football season and kind of messed up his year a little bit in a way. But a lot of people thought he was going to declare for the draft this year. He's going back to college. He's having one more season, and on his day, he's one of the best run defending interior defenders in the entirety of college football. Even at 6'1", sometimes the smaller guys are just able to win the leverage battle all the time. So watch out for Corleone. He's coming back next year. Number 7, you've got Dominique Orange out of Iowa State. And this is one we love. Iowa State have produced a ton of talent for the draft this year. Orange is going to be the next grade at that. So he's a pure-blooded nose tackle, 320 pounds, but he moves like he's 260, and he's like a Liam. He's got an absolutely dominant spin move, which you wouldn't expect from someone his big boy. He's got a 13.6% pass rush win rate as a nose tackle, which is absolutely insane. He grades in the high 80s against the run, but he's a seriously underrated pass rusher. If he gets half a dozen sacks or more this year, he's going to be a big defensive tackle prospect in next year's draft. Number 6, you got Aaron Graves out of Iowa. So he's going into his senior year. He's got 12 sacks since 2023. That's the most amongst interior defenders in the entirety of the FBS. Another great pass rusher from his hands in the dirt. He's one of the best guys in the business, and we know what Iowa do in that regard. That's your first half. But right, we know what Corleone's like. He's going to be great. But Orange and Graves, guys like this, it's the Iowa teams again. You got to watch them D tackles next year. They got some monsters.
Yeah, like I say, there's some big names on this list. Interesting to see Aaron in Iowa. Like I say, we know how that defensive line over recent years has had a lot of success getting guys ready for the next level. It seeks and it destroys. It's one of their bread and butter. Like I say, it makes life so easily for a very talented secondary. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how he gets on. And yeah, one of the best footballing names in the whole of football, like Corleone. Like I say, for a guy that he's pretty short, like you say, and he's got quite a compact build that really doesn't lend himself or help him at all the position. He is a stalwart. He is physical. He swallows up guys. Like I say, he can be a black hole when he wants to be. And he's very talented. Like you say, he's got experience under his belt. He's a guy that needs a big year. Like I say, the world is the oyster next year. Like I say, but you can really make a name in that class going forward as a pro and try and get a bit of a boost to his draft stock next year. But yeah, he's a guy that has shown a lot of flashes over the years.
I'm so looking forward to seeing one of these. But I love my Iowa State guys. Orange, he's just going to be something. I'm looking forward to that. Spirit of Detroit podcast popped in the building. Hope you're doing well, Lamar. Good to see you here. In terms of the top 5 interior D tackles, who PFF are rating this year anyhow, obviously it's not the be all and the end all. Number 5, you've got Lee Hunter at Texas Tech. So he's the transfer. He's the only transfer here, but he was at UCF last year. He's moved to Texas Tech this year. The boosters at Texas Tech have been out, and obviously they've got in a hell of a transfer class, but this is one of the best run defending D tackles that you've got in the entirety of college football. He leads the nation in terms of the amount of stops. He's had nearly 60 stops in these last 2 years alone. He's got 27 tackles for loss or no gain, and he's got 50 pressures as well as a pass rusher. He's 6'4", he's 320 pounds, he's got the size, he's got the frame. Like, this dude's raw power is just absolutely insane, and the fact that Texas Tech have managed to drag him away from a Big 12 rival, he should absolutely feast in this system this year. This team should be going after the Big 12 title with the amount of money they've put in there. But Lee Hunter, he is truly special to watch. Number 4, you've got Kristen Miller at Georgia. Now, obviously, Georgia were going to be in this list somewhere. He was just a redshirt sophomore last year, and obviously there's a lot of talent coming off that Georgia team again, coming into the draft. This is going to be his year. He graded at 83 last year, graded at 84 in run defense. He's got an 11% pass rush win rate as well, which ranks top 20 in returning D tackles there. But you know what Georgia tackles are like. They've got the length, they've got the power, they've got the technical training, and he's nifty. When I say he can slip those gaps, get skinny, and get to a quarterback or a running back before they've even got the ball in their hands, that's what Kristen Miller is. He's going to be a tremendous guy to watch this year. Number 3, you've got Tim Keenan III from Alabama. He's 6'2", 326 pounds, and this guy's the space eater. He's one of the best when it comes to dealing with double teams. He grades over 90 against the run, and its ability to take double teams, still be able to separate, still be able to get the running back from them. There was only Mason Graham who did better than him this year when it came to his run defense, and Mason Graham's going to be a top 5 pick in this draft cycle. But as I say, he's young. This guy is at the minute, Tim Keenan. He's still got a couple of years to go in college. Might declare early. Who knows if he has another good year? But he's one of the most valuable DTs in the country, and this Alabama team's going to bounce back. So keep an eye out for him there. And then your top 2, you've got Zane Durant from Penn State. It's going to be the next of a great line of Penn State defenders coming into the draft cycle. He led all interior defenders last year with 14 tackles for a loss or no gain. He had nearly 30 pressures on the season as well. He's another who's undersized. He's only 6'1", 288 pounds, but he plays at the 3-tech position, and he's a pocket collapser. He's a disruptor. He loves living in the backfield, and he's an absolute pain in your neck. So Zane Durant, of course, he's coming from a great system there. Number 1 is Peter Woods out of Clemson. So he's going to be a junior this year, and that Clemson team was much, much, much better this season, as we saw, and he's going to be one of the stalwarts going into this year. He is the highest graded and most valuable returning Power 4 defensive tackle this year. He grades over 90 against the run. He's got a 15% pass rush win rate, and the frame, 6'3" and 315 pounds. He's just as good at getting to the quarterback as he is at getting, eating those teams against the run. So Peter Woods at Clemson, you're going to see him in a lot of, maybe if he declares early, because he's just going to be a junior, but we've seen more and more juniors are declaring early for the draft at this point in time. He may very well get there, but that's an impressive list at the top there, right? It's a good group, but Peter Woods, I mean, you've watched Clemson a lot this year, and you've seen how much better they've got. He's absolutely freakish. He could be the next type, Mason Graham type, who can just do it all and just absolutely destructive. And he will be great in the NFL if he carries on the way he is.
Yeah. Clemson and D-line have just gone together for years now, hand to hand. Like you say, they brought in a big addition with Will Hoyt. Well, it's on the outside, so he'll take pressure, he'll help free him up on the outside, generate a little bit of pressure on the outside, and that'll help Peter do his job at the middle. But yeah, Dabo's got a guy up there, like I say, he can win on the outside, he can win up the middle. He's going to be a very disruptive force. But the name of Lee Hunter, he's got to be the name to watch. Like I say, TTU has gone out there and they've basically said, we're going all in on 2025. Like I said, they've thrown a lot of money in it. Like I said, they've spent, I'm sure, on recent years, their facilities have had hundreds of millions of dollars. Like I say, their locker room, their facilities, their gym, I'm pretty sure it's all had a huge upgrade to help bring these big name players in. And last year, they were so close to contending, but their defense was just so bad. So going out and getting one of the best defensive tackles in the country was sorely needed. If they'd have had him last year, they make a run at the Big 12 title game. And this year, they're one of my dark horses to potentially make the playoffs. That roster has just had a serious injection. But Lee, 6'3", 6'4", 325, like I said, that guy, he is a behemoth. He is a full-grown man playing with children, essentially. Like I say, he's going to have a stellar year. All Big 12 second team last year. I think he should do really well this year, and he can introduce his draft stock. Like I say, could go for the ceiling this year, being a senior. If he has a good year, like I say, his name will go from like someone that people were murmuring about to a guy that will force his way to the Senior Bowl, the Combine, and we'll be talking about him as a 2026 draft pick. But yeah, it all starts there. They need him to have a big year and see his career out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some great names to watch out for coming in some really good teams. So yeah, certainly Dominique Orange looking for, Lee Hunter we're looking for, and Peter Woods. Yeah, a lot of people are going to love him in the draft cycle long before he ever declares. So those are some of the names to keep an eye out at D tackle next year. Questions, are there any knocking around? I don't think there really are. People chatting about Shane Zylstra. He's not officially gone yet. He's on the free agent list, so he's not come back as of yet. So he's not technically with the team right now. But don't be surprised to expect to see him back at the Lions next year, especially with James Mitchell gone and that. There's no depth at tight end at the minute, so he could very much well be back. Brent's on about Carter Runyon, the Towson tight end again. He's going to be in the late day 3 undrafted free agent territory, I think, at this point. The
fact that he get to go to a combine, probably means he falls off some draft boards.
Yeah, and it was a big shame because
they're like 6'6", 230, 235.
Yeah,
there's lack of weight and muscle, but as a receiving threat, there's a player there. He just isn't a blocker yet, and he needs probably a bit more weight in that. But yeah, he can come in straight away as, like, say, tight end 3, tight end 4.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'd want to see him be given his chance. He is 6'6", 235, so let's say it's probably the weight. You smack 10, 15 pounds onto that frame, you get a little bit better as a blocker, but as a receiver, he's been quite good. He's only got the 2 years at Towson. I think he started off as a JUCO prospect, if I remember rightly. But he's got 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns in those last 2 years. He's consistently been a good receiver, and he's really good. He's only got 3 drops off nearly 130 targets as well. So steady, reliable hands. Someone will pick him up early. Like he'll be one of those guys who goes straight away when the undrafted free agents start being announced, if someone doesn't take a flyer on him at the end of the draft. But oh, bless you. So yeah, but yeah, if you could take a late flyer on day 3 with him, I wouldn't be, for us maybe, I wouldn't say no. Special teams background is good as well. You work your way up from JUCO to the FCS. We like those guys, the small schoolers who've sort of worked their way up hard. So we will see with him. I don't know if there's a lot left in here at the minute. Again, anyone any questions before we go? Because I think that's about it from us. I know it's a bit of a shorter one today, but with college football at the minute, as I say, it's just coming to the end of spring training, and all the beat writers are putting up their reports and everything. So we're going to collate it and do one big show about spring training and be able to and just do it in one go, because it's a lot easier than trying to do it in bits and bobs. I guess the Pro Day circuit is out at the minute. We've not really talked about the Pro Day circuit so much, but the Lions do seem to be very active at this moment in time. I know they've been at some of the smaller schools as well. They went out to Eastern Kentucky. One of the senior scouts has been down out there. I think they've got running back coming out of there, so it seems like they are looking at running back depth as well. Obviously, everybody's been to Georgia today, Ryan. Mikael Williams, again, knocking it out the park with his performance. He's one of those where you're like, I really, really would like to trade up for him if schematically we use him correctly.
Yeah, like you say, he ran that, like you say, was it like a early 4.9? It's fair though, his position, 40 yards. When's he ever running 40 yards? If he's running 40 yards, the play's broken or something's gone wrong. Like you say, yeah, he's a beast. He's a guy that, yeah, he will never make it to where we want to be, and he's the kind of guy where if he's in the early 20s, you probably can consider moving. Right, so great. Dan Jackson, I think, might have been the guy we were there to watch.
So
George 50, like I say, he's a special teamer and a package guy, like run game. Tested very well, actually. He's been crucial to the Bulldogs. He don't get a lot of luck, does he? But he's been really big in what they've been trying to do as a guy that steps in and plays on those crucial downs.
Yeah, it does feel like the year when a lot of Georgia rookies are flying under the window. Obviously got Smail Mondon at linebacker, who's completely sort of going under the radar, but I think they've not had some of them as many snaps because they've been stuck in the rotation. But
Cambliss had the top 30 visit. That's the one we've had so far. So yeah, like I say, as a breakout 6.5 season sack year. So yeah, it's the year of the Georgia underdog.
Yeah,
a lot of their names are going to fly under the radar.
Exactly. It's an odd year for them. You all expect them to go high, but Dan Jackson...
They're not going to have that many high draft picks.
No, because Dan Jackson's 40... They said it was unofficially timed between 4:39 and 4:46, so that's rapid. That's
fast on a hand watch, yeah.
That's rapid. They said there were an absolute ton of people down there to watch them. The Rutgers Pro Day was today. Every single team was represented there for the first time since 2015. Obviously, that's Kyle Monangai and Robert Longerbeam.
Holland Pierce. I always put him in the mock.
Holland Pierce is someone he's another I would like to put in at some point in this draft. It would not surprise me at all if they were there to see him, but Longerbeam's an underrated cornerback prospect. Monangai is just going to get lost in the running back fold, but he is a wonderful running back in his own right as well, so it doesn't surprise me that we were there to see those prospects. But yeah, I think Holland Pierce might sneakily be the one they were having a little look at there. They were also at the USC Pro Day today, but they're predominantly day 3 guys, so nothing I've seen.
I'm trying to think who there. I suppose Jaquavius Marks.
Jaquavius Marks, the running back, has probably got claimed to be the highest drafted guy out there, but he's going to get lost in that massive running back field, so he might suffer for that alone. So yeah, Mikael Williams, his 40-yard dash, 4.75 and 4.82. Like a 4.7, that's not bad at all for him.
He's a tall guy, yeah. He runs very upright.
He does, indeed. Other pro days we've been at. So we've invited Penny Boone to the local pro day. So he's the running back out of UCF, but everyone will know him from his Toledo days. But he's a Michigan man, so he's coming to the local pro day. Probably not a surprise there. News came today that Taylor L. Gersma, he's going to go to the Buffalo Pro Day, so I would expect to see a lot.
Canadian guys go to New York.
I would expect to see a lot of NFL teams there, just taking a look at the Canadian, thinking maybe do we put a day 3 pick on him and see where he's at. I think he absolutely will draw a lot of interest there. That's probably a smart move from Buffalo as well. That'll get a lot of eyes on that Pro Day.
Yeah, it makes sense as well. If you want him, draft him because then when he gets drafted high in the CFL, you've still got rights to him. If he gets cut from the CFL, won't you? You're still on his rights as an NFL draft team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you take him, like say, in a 7th round pick, and let's say in 2 years' time, he throws for, let's say, 7,000 yards in the CFL, and he goes pro. Well, he decides to try out NFL workouts. You'll still have him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it makes sense. Like say, don't wait till he goes UDFA. Claim him now, because the CFL team, like say, he's a highly. They do not ever draft QBs in the CFL draft. I've checked for years now. In the first round, QBs just never go. I've never understood why, because there's lots of Canadian QBs that go in there, but they all either go to American colleges or they just happen to find their way on rosters. Going for the draft. They just rarely get picked from the CFL draft.
No, not at all. I'm with you. It is odd why they don't go so high up there.
He will have his name called, like say, I reckon.
I think he will.
I read somewhere like round 2, round 3.
Oh, in the Canadian one.
Yeah, I think he's fairly strong.
I thought you meant the NFL draft for me. I'm like, good lord, someone takes El Gersmery in round 2 or 3. They are betting, they are hedging big time. Kentucky had their pro day as well. Everybody was there, so the Lions, of course, but Maxwell Hairston, Deone Walker, guys like that. I mean, there's a ton. Jackson Dumar Johnson, I know is
part of that. Deone Walker apparently playing all year with a broken bone in his back. That doesn't impress me. That frankly scares the life out of me. At what point did he realise he wasn't right and still kept playing?
And what long-term damage has he done to himself?
He's 6'7". You can't have a back injury.
No.
He's already got a bad build for a defensive tackle.
And he ran about a 5'3" as well, which he must be
clearly not right, or he's not in good shape.
No,
can't be.
No, he's not at all.
I want to stay well away from him.
Yeah, I do, and Brad doesn't go for those type of guys. I
don't dislike him. I just worry about how he transitions to pro.
Yeah, absolutely. Other pro days the Lions have been at, they did go to Georgia Southern, but they are only sporting a running back this year. Jalen White, really. There's a couple of other. There's some undraftable free prospects there as well, but Jalen White's really the only one. So they are going to places where there's day 3 running backs on shows. So maybe it wouldn't surprise me if they go out and get one of those, especially
if only back on 1 year. So I'm bringing it. If the right guy's there on day 2.
Yeah,
I might bring in especially in my case, if I trade back and pick up an extra pick, I might go get a running back as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Notable on the Lions, right? Lions went to Eastern Kentucky to watch their pro day. Now that's not the one that slot receivers are on, but Mike Smith, he's there. The DB.
He's at the corner that ran like a 4.3 or something crazy.
He ran quite fast. He's like an 80th percentile guy, but he was snubbed from the combine as well. But over 20 teams turned up to watch him, and that's one of the few that we know who went there. So it was Dave Uyris, or I will call him that. There, he's part of the team's scouting staff, but he seemed to be taking a big part in that program. They've got a running back as well, actually coming out this year, Eastern Kentucky. If I remember his name, it is what is it now? Just give me 1 second. What's he called? I've forgotten his name already. Not Azirim. No, it's lost it. But anywho, they've got another probably.
We meet a lot of running backs because we went to UC Davis, didn't we, to meet Lan Larrison?
We went to UC Davis to meet Lan Larrison. Yeah, there's a lot of late.
He's had like 2 mental years there as a rusher, I think.
Yeah, and they're another FCS playoff team who have been making a lot of noise as well. He's been doing it against some good opposition, so keep an eye on that. The Lions have been at Purdue as well. That is Gus Hartwig, the centre, and Marcus Moe, the right tackle, although he's very confidently exclaimed that he can play anywhere. And then you got a couple of other, you got guys like Hudson Card and that there. I don't think he's going to do it. That's predominantly for offensive linemen. But yeah, Hartwig's a centre that I like. Marcus Moe is a very versatile tackle, so they're doing their due diligence on the offensive line as well. It was actually put up there. So Ray Agnew was at Kentucky's Pro Day. So they sent a heavy hitter along to that. And then the offensive line coach, Steve Oliver, he went to Western Michigan's Pro Day. And that is Addison West, the guard, who is very much, prized out of that program. They've got Bilal Kone, the cornerback, as well. Yeah. But the assistant offensive line coach has been to watch Addison West. Currently grades in day 3, I believe Addison West does, potentially to UDFA as well. So, but he's had an incredibly good career at Western Michigan. He's very experienced player. Let me just bring up his numbers here, because he's another sort of, when we were doing this a few months ago, looking at prospective guards and that maybe in the draft process, his name came in. So he's 6'3", 305 pounds. He's got a very good frame for a guard, to be fair. He is a 6th year at Western Michigan, but he's been a starter for the last 3. He's given up 1 sack in his entire collegiate career on 1,300 pass blocking reps. He graded 95 in the run game this year and 90 as a pass blocker. He's steadily gotten better year on year, and then he's just had one of the best years possible here. And they played against Ohio State, they played against Wisconsin, they played against South Alabama, who got near the top of the Sun Belt. Like, he's come up against some good opposition this year, and he's not given up a thing. He gave up 2 hurries this year, and he will be probably, I think he's eligible to go to the Lions local pro days of where he's played at. So Addison West is a name you need to keep your eye on, because they've been to see him and they've sent one of the position coaches to see him. It's one of the few we've been able to get a thing on, because it's very difficult to find out which. I have to look through photos and everything to try and find who's been there. The Lions have also met with Austin Peay, defensive back Dorian Davis. He's met with the Vikings and the Lions, and he is a corner, I believe, if I'm right. But Austin Peay, another program, Rye, that they've been good in recent years. Oh, he's the safety, out of Austin Peay. He's 5'11", 191, so he's a little on the smaller side, but he's a mighty mouse. He started off at West Carolina, went to Southern Illinois, had 2 years at Towson, and then finished up at Austin Peay. Numbers don't jump off the chart, just 2 interceptions, 11 pass breakups during his career, but the tackling is superb, always has been for him. Very low missed tackle rate, over 200 tackles in college. He's been blitzing this year, which he hasn't done in any of his previous years. He's got a sack, a QB hit, and a few pressures as well. So they're doing a lot of meetings with FCS guys. They're certainly doing the number on the undrafted free agency class and the late day 3 guys. I think outside of that is it for the Pro Day circuit so far, because there's still a lot to come at this point in time. There's not been that many in the grand scheme of things. I think so. Yeah, Lan Larrison, we talked about that there. I think that is everything. So yeah, that's all the updates on the Pro Day circuit at the moment. Marmarker goes, I recall what Hutch said about rookies before the draft. The months leading up to the draft are busy, intense, tiring. Yeah, they are. You got to do all these meetings, you've got to fly everywhere, you got all these 30 meetings with teams, etc. I can't remember who it was the other day, but I saw an interview with someone saying they were scared of getting on planes, and they had interviews in LA, Seattle, and New York. It's just like, oh, well, you couldn't really get far apart. You've got to do a lot of plane flying to get to those. So, but it is a crazy process. I don't think there's anything else. Anyone else got anything they want to ask? We'll just go through the upcoming shows and stuff for you while we're here, and the schedule and everything, and then we'll get out of here if there's no more other questions. So the next show's coming up. The main Detroit Lions podcast from us will be back on Monday. Matthew will be back from his American adventure. We're doing the latest in the prospect review show, so it's safeties that we're doing on Monday. So join us there to learn about some of the safeties in this draft, and then myself and Ryan will be back next week, and we'll see what we do. We might do the spring training review next week and a few other bits and bobs as well. We'll go back to doing college football for a week before we go back to the draft stuff. We'll be doing our Are We Smarter Than a Mock Draft Simulator show as well soon. See, for a second year in a row we can beat the mock draft simulator. That's good fun as well, and of course we'll have lots of other bits in there as well. You can find us all over at Roar of the Lions UK. Just type us in, you will find us, because we're there, we're here. As always, if there's anything college wise you want to ask us, and we're not online, just leave comments, let us know, we'll get on for it for you. I know we did get asked the other day, I think it was Brent who asked about day 3 receivers, so we'll do a show. We'll do a section on day 3 receivers, maybe for the Lions as well. So undrafted day 3, we'll get that done for you as always. If you ask, we shall do. We just don't have time to prep it this week, but we'll get through to it. So I think that's about everything. Anything else you want to mention before we get out of here today, Rye?
Nope. But this is my favourite time of the year.
Oh, absolutely. It is. We're 43 days away from the draft. We're getting close. Free agency's in full swing. We'll be able to know a bit more about what the Lions are going to do in due course. So say if you've only just joined us, Levi Onwuzurike has rejoined the Lions. Craig Reynolds has rejoined the Lions as well. So we're starting to make moves with that. Just in terms of the upcoming Pro Day schedule, I'll quickly go through that before we get out of here. So tomorrow it's Clemson, Colorado State, and Illinois. So if you're a Pat Bryant fan, then get ready for that. Tomorrow, March 14th, it's Delaware and Georgia Tech. So Marcus Yarns, the young Delaware running back, he's making a big inroad on what is a great running back class. Maybe he's going to come before some of the more established names on the list. We don't know. Then March 17th, it's Arkansas, Northern Illinois, Oregon State, Syracuse, and UCLA. March 18th, which is next Tuesday, it's the Big 12 Pro Day. So for the second year in a row, every single Big 12 team does its Pro Day in one big stadium, and they all do it together, so that kind of makes it a lot easier for us. So that's in 6 days time on the Tuesday. Central Arkansas, Memphis, Oregon, South Carolina, and Virginia on that day as well. So March 18th is going to be a massive day for the Pro Day circuits. March 19th, the Big 12 Pro Day continues. It's split over 4 days, so different teams on different days, but I don't know which team specifically there, but Alabama A&M, so Carson Vinson, the HBCU guard, he is going to be at the Alabama Pro Day for that. So if you want to see Carson Vinson, March 19th is the day for that. Minnesota, mile marker on the 19th, and then we've got San Jose State and Stanford as well. That is everything for the next week before we will be back with you, and then the day after that it's William and Mary. So if you want to look for Charles Grant and Cal that day, so Noel Williams will be on as well. That is March 20th. So we'll go over those pro days. Any notes from them, anything next week as well. I think that is just... so Brent goes, Lions met with Milroe. Yeah, they're doing their due diligence on a rushing quarterback, potentially. It might be one thing they have, but that's probably in the region where they trade back and they get an extra day 2 pick if they go down that line. It's like they did with Hooker. They get traded back for more picks and then they eventually took Hooker, but I think it's a smoke screen. Mile Marker agrees with you. He goes, it is a good time of the year, Ryan. It is indeed. So we shall see you again in a week here on the College Football Podcast, and we'll see you on the Monday for the Detroit Lions one. Have a great day. We appreciate you all being in here with us, and we shall see you again soon. Thanks, Ryan. We'll see you again. One Pride.